Good afternoon, everybody. One more time. Good afternoon, everybody. There we go. My name is Anna Brown. I am the Deputy Chief Inclusion Officer here at BGSU. I use she, her pronouns. And I'd like to welcome you to the Black Issues Conference Luncheon. This is our 24th Black Issues Conference, and we are very excited for our keynote speaker, Mr. Kevin D. Richardson of the Exonerated Five. We'd like to begin the program with Lift Every Voice and Sing, a poem by James Weldon Johnson, set to music by his brother John Rosamond Johnson. It was written in 1900 and first performed publicly as a commemoration of President Abraham Lincoln's birthday by a choir of 500 school children at Stanton School, a segregated school in Jacksonville, Florida. In 1919, the NAACP dubbed it the Negro National Anthem due to its powerful interpretation of the story of Black America. Today, it is sung at events across the country, including at highly publicized events like the Super Bowl. Although we don't quite have the notoriety, we would like to honor those who have come before us. So if you are able, please stand as we sing Lift Every Voice and Sing. The lyrics will be up on the screen.
Ring with the harmony.
You may be seated. I grew up old school. You sing all 3 verses every time you sing it. Thanks, Mom. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge those who have helped sponsor this event. We could not do this without them, and we appreciate all of the support. The School of Cultural and Critical Studies, the College of Technology, Architecture, and Applied Engineering, the University Libraries, the Division of Student Engagement and Success, the Department of Ethnic Studies, the College of Arts and Sciences, the College of Education and Human Development, the Honors College, Honors Learning Community, the Radbill Center for College and Life Design, the Office of Student Housing, the Office of Admissions, the School of Art, BGSU Faculty Association, Center for Undergraduate Research and Scholarship, the Department of English, the Graduate College, the Department of History, the Department of Human Services, the Division of Student Wellbeing, the Department of Psychology, the Department of Sociology, and the Department of World Languages and Cultures. Thank you for your generous support of the Black Issues Conference. Again, this event would not happen without you. Please give them a round. It is now my honor and privilege to bring to the stage the 12th president of Bowling Green State University, Dr. Rodney K. Rogers.
Anna, thank you very much, and certainly good to be here at the 24th, as Anna mentioned, the 24th Black Issues Conference here at Bowling Green State University. And I want to add my thanks to all of those that are sponsoring this event. But I want to thank all of the individuals that were so involved in the planning, the registration. We've got folks at the registration desk. We've got our dining people here. We've got all kinds of staff and volunteers. And in this room, boy, it makes me so happy and proud to see so many students and faculty and staff here today to hear from this speaker that we have that I can tell you I'm very excited to hear from Mr. Kevin Richardson. We'll share some words. You know, today's event, it's the part of our Beyond the Dream series, and we should be especially proud of all of the programming that is going on across this campus. Multiple areas throughout our university are working together to extend this series, this Beyond the Dream series, which highlights different cultures across Bowling Green State University. We're bringing national thought leaders to our campus, engaging our communities. And we've been doing that for a long time, but certainly this event over the last 24 years. You know, these are indeed challenging political times, but higher ed needs to continue to play a role, an incredibly important role in bringing people together of diverse backgrounds, diverse life experiences, different perspectives. We need to ensure that we are providing opportunities to have that dialogue, to learn from each other, to grow, to be better people. And this kind of work, this event today, is one of those examples. But that work should be going on every day across this campus in the dialogues that we have with each other, out of respect and curiosity, learning from each other. That is what public universities for the public good should do, and certainly it is our responsibility, our shared responsibility, to be leading that work. You know, today's Black Issues Conference is certainly encouraging us to learn and have dialogue, and I know there's a lot of workshops going on as well. But our keynote speaker, Mr. Kevin D. Richardson, who has just a story that I want to hear more about your story and your willingness to come and share your story so we all learn from that story. He's been an advocate for reform in the criminal justice system through his own personal experiences and to help bring about that change. We should admire that so much, and I do admire that so much, that you are here today to share those experiences and challenge us, all of us, to think about the nation we're a part of, the world in which we live, and what our role is to perhaps try to make it a little bit better each and every day. And so I hope today is an opportunity for each of us to be certainly inspired. I hope we all have some key learnings that we're going to take away and some key things that we plan to do perhaps differently, or that we will continue to do to impact all of our communities. That is the ultimate work of higher education. And the fact that you are here today demonstrates that you're interested, willing, and able to take up that challenge. So on behalf of Bowling Green State University, Kevin, welcome to BGSU, and thank you all for being here. I'm looking forward to the keynote speaker, and again, thank you, Anna, for all of your work. Thank you.
Thank you, President Rogers. At this time, I would like to take a moment to thank some folks whose work behind the scenes to make events like this happen and make them possible. Please give a round of applause to WBGSU for streaming this event so that those who are not physically able to be here can be here. To Conference and Event Services and to BGSU Catering. And now it's time for lunch. Yes. Please wait for your table to be released by the catering staff to go to the buffet, and we will start back up once everybody has their plates to go into the awards portion of the program. Thank you. Please continue to get your food to eat, but we also want to make sure that we keep this program on schedule. So at this time, I would like to invite Taryn Sherman, the president of Black Student Union and planning committee member, and Joshua Moore, BGSU graduate student extraordinaire, who has been my right hand through all of this, and he doesn't even know it. And also a member of the planning committee, a graduate student in the Office of Multicultural Affairs, to the stage to present the Black Issues Conference Awards.
All right. Y'all can hear me? All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I like that. That's better. Okay. So our first award is for Innovative Program of the Year. This award will be awarded to an individual or individuals who have planned, designed, and executed a program for the BGSU campus community that has shown innovation, creativity to help impact Black and brown students in a positive way. And the winner of that award is Taste of February. So somebody from James Kearney, somebody from Smart. Y'all give it up for James. Yeah, just take a picture. All right. Our next award is for Determined Scholar of the Year. This award will be awarded to an individual undergraduate or graduate student who has shown academic determination, excellence, and tenacity throughout the year as a student while facing challenges and still being positive. And the winner of this award is Monet Jones. Where you at, Monet? She coming. Give it up again for Monet. Our next award is for the Creative Student Organization of the Year. This award will be awarded to the campus organization who has creatively engaged and interacted with the campus community, resulting in new membership, engagement, and positive impacts. And this award goes to Curly Connections.
Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. Take a picture real quick. Let y'all all get up here.
And last but certainly not least, our final award is Innovative Educator of the Year. This award will be awarded to the faculty or staff member who has mentored, developed, and helped students through new, fresh, and creative ways and became a better student and contributor to the BGSU community. The Innovative Educator of the Year award goes to James Kearney. 2 for 2, all right.
Thank you.
And that concludes our Black Issues Conference Awards.
Thank you, Joshua and Taryn. At this time, I would like to ask to the stage Dr. Katie Steigels, the Chief Inclusion Officer here at BGSU, and also my amazing supervisor, to introduce our moderator and our keynote speaker. Katie?
Thank you, Anna. Good afternoon. A native of Detroit, Michigan, Danielle Kane is a third-year Thompson Scholar in the Sidney A. Rabot President's Leadership Academy, majoring in criminal justice. She is the treasurer of the illustrious Iota Iota chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, where she also sits as the committee chair for their Advocate for Social Justice initiative. She is the president of the National Pan-Hellenic Council. She has received the Outstanding Community Service Award, the Johnny L. Lewis Award, and the PLA Alumni Society Award. She was also selected as a finalist for the 10th Annual Women of Distinction Award. Upon graduation, yes, she is very impressive. Upon graduation, Danny intends to pursue a law degree with the goal of becoming a criminal defense attorney to help advocate for those in the system who may have been wrongfully convicted, hoping to amplify the voices of those whose voices have been quieted or silenced by unjust systems and corruption. Thank you, Danny, for everything you have already done here at BGSU and for all that we know you will continue to do long after you graduate to contribute to the public good. April 19th, 1989 started off as a normal day for 14-year-old Kevin D. Richardson, but that night would change the course of his life and American society forever. After the brutal attack and sexual assault of jogger Trisha Ellen Miley in Central Park, the New York Police Department rounded up and arrested a total of 10 suspects, including Richardson. Despite there being no DNA and no evidence connecting Kevin and 4 other teens to the crime, he was charged and sentenced to serve 5 to 10 years in jail. After serving 7 years for a crime he did not commit, Richardson was put on 3 years of probation, had to register as a sex offender, and was released from prison. However, years later, the conviction for the attack remained on his record. In 2002, New York District Attorney Robert Richardson joined forces with the other men falsely convicted and filed a lawsuit for $41 million, which was finally settled in 2014. In 2019, Netflix released When They See Us, a mini-series portraying the famous events of the case. The celebrated and award-winning show has brought the injustices Richardson and the Central Park Five experienced back into the public's attention. 30 years later, Kevin Richardson is an advocate for criminal justice reform and uses his personal experience with false coercions and unjust convictions to bring about change. He has partnered with the Innocence Project, a nonprofit organization dedicated to exonerating wrongfully convicted people through DNA testing. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Danny Kane and Mr. Kevin D. Richardson to the stage.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Kevin Richardson, for coming out today and allowing us to hear from your experience and allowing us to just get a little peek into what your life was like back then and what it's like now. So my first question for you is, for those who may not know your story, can you briefly share with us how you got to where you are today?
Good afternoon. Bowling Green, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Right. First of all, I am blessed to be here, and I mean that in every sense of the word, because I know how it is to have your life taken away from you. 1989, 14-year-old Kevin. I was an inspiring musician. If you know my story, I played the trumpet and studied greats, the great jazz greats. I always had an old soul, my family would tell me. And I also was a pretty good basketball player. And I remember that time in 1989, just 14 years old, just scratching the surface of curiosity, right? A 14-year-old, just trying to see what life had for me. And never in my wildest dreams did I thought that my life would stop for a minute. And being that young and naive and vulnerable, because I have a 15-year-old now, a 15-year-old daughter, and I can only imagine what happened to me, what happened to her. So just being so young and being in a situation where you had no control of it was something that was very powerful to the fullest extent.
Okay. I know you mentioned you had a daughter, so a question that I had was, how have your experience impacted how you may parent with your children? Like, what are some things that you teach them now that you probably wouldn't have, put emphasis on if you didn't go through what you went through?
First of all, can you hear me good? Yes. Okay. Like I mentioned, I have a 15-year-old, and ironically, her name is Jazz. Jazleen, and we call her Jazzy. And I have a 6-year-old named Jayla. I have to make sure I say their names because they will tell me that I didn't. Parenting. I look at myself as a little overbearing, overprotective, and rightfully so, because I look at Jazz, and she's such an introvert, and she's an innocent, sweet girl. And not just saying that because she's my daughter, but I can see the innocence in her and the pure. And I can only imagine that was me. She's a female version of me. So I'm very strict with her, but balanced as well. Because I'm a cool dad, is what they say. But I also speak to her about the reality of the situation. I'm very optimistic about life, but I'm also a realist. And I'm also aware that things can happen to her just like it did to me. My daughter is one part African American, one part Latina, and she's a female. And whether we want to accept it or not, we still deal with sexism. We definitely deal with racism that never went anywhere for over 400 years. So these things that we still have to deal with, and I talk to her like she's an adult because I want her to know how it is and not be blindsided by what society has to offer.
Thank you. My next question for you is, can you tell me a bit about how the healing process has been for you?
Wow. Quite frankly, y'all, quite honestly, I'm still healing.
Right.
As I mentioned before, I was 14 years old when this happened. I am now 49 years old. So this is a process that doesn't go away. I have learned how to deal with it, and me speaking to you all today, and me traveling across the world, that's therapeutic. And that's the way that I deal with the healing. Because when I was in prison, that type of access wasn't granted to you. They didn't want to better you while you're in there. And when you're in prison, it's sort of a modern day warehouse. They just stack bodies there, but there's nothing else to do. And what I was able to do was, yes, I was in prison physically, but not mentally. Right. And through that imprisonment, I learned how to study the law library every day to find out why these things happen. I was able to achieve my associate's degree in prison when they stopped education in New York State. I had to do these things to stay relevant and to stay busy because a good friend of mine says, an idle mind is a devil's backyard. You must stay busy and stay relevant and within your right mind because it could eat you up alive if you don't do so.
And you mentioned that you're, like, of course, you're still healing and you're still going through that process. So, like, how do you flip the script to keep anger from consuming you? Like, how do you channel your anger, essentially?
Well, one thing that I do is, what keep me balanced is my family.
Right.
My kids, they keep me very grounded. My wife, that's what keeps me, keep going and to stay inspired. But I will tell you, it's a thin line in between that. Learning how to juggle that and still be, compassionate. What I endured, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And I learned how to channel that anger. Because when I was young, it was a lot of anger pinned up in me because I couldn't believe what happened. But I tell others that, and this might be a question later, people often ask me, am I bitter? And when I tell them I'm not, they're surprised at that. I didn't say I wasn't angry, but that anger will eat you up alive, so you have to learn how to channel that and navigate that. And I often believe that bitterness will send you to the grave faster. And it's about what you're going to do with that aggression or that energy that you have. So I had to learn how to channel that to do something positive for the greater good, because I want to be alive. I want to see my kids grow up and see that I made an impact on the world. And me doing that now is very inspiring. So it's a thin line trying to control that, but it has to be done because if you don't, probably I wouldn't be here today if I did.
Thank you. So you mentioned how, when you were younger, you have a lot of built up anger, but you've learned how to control that. So when you were incarcerated, how was your interactions with the other inmates who were there? Did they isolate y'all, or did they feel what were some of their impressions of you when you did go into the system?
Sure. So I want to paint a picture. Going back to 1989, I was 14 years old, the youngest of the five, being sent to a prison where everyone hated you because of who they thought you were and the way that we were perceived in the media. I remember vividly the day that I went into prison. I remember the correction officer saying the whole jail wants to get you. And you know what that means, that they wanted to assault us and even more. Dealing with that, I learned how to, even if I didn't want to, I had to grow up right then and there. Inside, I was still 14, but I had to have this outside adrenaline, outside like a scowl to show that I was tough. I was just a kid, and no kid should be put in that situation to go through that process. So it was extremely hard to deal with that, as well as one strike was the media. The media had our names and our faces inside the newspaper and on television, which at that time, you're not supposed to do that to minors. So even though we were minors, they still had us as an adult. So we had to be in prisons with adults. And like my big brother, Corey Wise, he went directly to Rikers Island in New York City, where he went right through the lion's den with grown men. Myself, I went through it rough too. I went through a maximum youth facility where it was all, quote unquote, the worst of boys. And I had to learn how to adapt to that. And like I said, I was also physically in prison, but not mentally. So I had to keep busy, and that's when I went to education and things like that.
Okay, so I know you referenced Corey Wise being your big brother, of course, going in, not many of y'all knew each other, but through this experience, y'all was able to share those experiences with one another. So my next question was are you still close with any of them, and how do your interactions with them take place today?
I want to let it be known that in the beginning, we did not know each other, everybody. We grew up in the same area, in the same apartment complex. They labeled us as a gang. They labeled us as a cult. They labeled us as a wolf pack. They named us all kind of animals in the animal kingdom, other than being a human being. Is what they labeled us. And through this, we became brothers. We became a band of brothers. And we took that label, the Central Park Five, and we turned it upside of on his head. And we made it a band of brothers. Because only the five of us truly know what we endured. Not even our families really know that what we endured that night of April 19th. So because of that, we became brothers. And our kids call each other uncle and things like that, you know. So I'm the middleman of the Central Park Five, AKA Exonerated Five. Because the word exonerated is to be set free. And that's what we are. So I'm the one that does the old-fashioned phone call. You know, I actually pick up the phone. I don't email them. I actually call them and keep that bond going. So we all try to keep in touch and get together every once in a while. But it's hard to keep us, all five of us, in one spot, but we try to.
Okay. And I know the Netflix series, When They See Us, the Ava DuVernay written and directed miniseries tells you all story. So what has been the impact of When They See Us, and what didn't the film tell us?
Wow. When They See Us. The impact is to let you know that you can prevail from the situation. When I met the great Ava DuVernay, which is my sister from a different mister, we really became close because we're a few years apart in age. Just like me, she grew up in Compton, California, and she had relatives that lived in New York. So she knew the connection of the Central Park Five. So we bonded from that. You know, but going through it, we became close because she wanted us to tell our story. And when we first met each other, it took 4.5 years to make When They See Us. I remember she flew us to California to film it. And while we were there, the five of us were there together, four of us. It became like a spiritual retreat because we really didn't know each other's story. Up until then, we assumed what we knew. The only person that was not present was Antron McCray because he had then lost his mother to cancer. So that right there, it bonded us, and we became, it's a little, I like to say that we even became like an R&B group, that it's hard to keep the five of us together, but when we're together, we're better. Mm-hmm. But we all had our solo career, but to keep us together, it was close. You know, I often say that we became like New Edition. Okay, I'm gonna break it down to you. Myself, Antron McCray, and Raymond Santana was called BBD, Belle Biv DeVoe, because we were the closest. And remember, there was a group. Corey Wise was Bobby Brown, because he had, you know, he thought, you know, he marched to his own tune. And Yusuf Salaam was Ralph Tresvant because he was the smoothest.
Right.
You know, but we often kept that joking because we had to keep it funny because of what we was going through. Because we was going through so much together that we had to keep it light within us. But that bond I will forever have on my brothers.
So my next question is, how has your perception of law enforcement and the justice system changed over time? And if so, how?
I would like to sit here and say that it's great. But as I mentioned, I'm an optimist, but a realist. Not much has changed, even from 1989. But I'm open to work on things with the police to try to make a change. And we must come together to have these certain events where we have round tables, because people in the community and police sometimes don't have a relationship because we don't understand each other. And that's what we need to get to. But before that, we must learn how to not let people be wrongfully unjustly, you know, arrested. And we must deal with that. My mother, she grew up in Virginia, and she grew up in the Jim Crow era. And she told me not much has changed since then. And I remember the day being arrested. My mother, she was scared to death because she thought it felt like the KKK was coming. But instead of that, they dragged me from the streets and put me into a prison, which is called a modern-day warehouse. So it's just history repeating itself. So I don't feel that confident, at least in New York State.
Right.
about the police there. I hope things are better in Ohio.
No.
It's not, right? And I think that's a universal thing. So we must do something, right? We must do something to change that. And I believe that we must occupy all spaces. We must have people in office that actually know what it is to be on the other side. Like my brother Yusuf Salam, he's now the councilman of New York, of Harlem. That's what we have to do. We have to start occupying those spaces and getting a seat at the table. But once we get a seat at the table, we must break bread.
Okay. Thank you. And I was in one of the sessions earlier in here, you talk about like how you was like, there was a point in time where you did lose your faith. So can you just speak a little bit more, like, you know, my question was, did you ever lose faith in God, in the U.S., in the system? And if so, how did you regain that?
And this was hard for me because I grew up in a religious background. I grew up Baptist, good Southern church in New York State. But my mother, when this happened to me, I used to tell my mother, why me? Why God did this to me, to us? And she told me never question the man upstairs. But it was hard to believe that because God knew that we were innocent. And I lost my faith for some time. But I learned how to regain that because my mother told me, never question that. Never question what he has installed for you. And I didn't realize until later on in life that it's God's will. And it's God's path that I'm walking in. And everything that's happened to me now is God's magic. And quite frankly, God is showing off for me. I'm doing God's work. So I learned when I got older that sometimes things happen for a reason. And I was put as a scapegoat to help out the next generation, others like yourself, even the adults. And we was put in a situation to be the scapegoats at once upon a time. But now what we're doing, we're moving mountains for others. And that's what has been happening. So I'm so blessed that I'm here to experience this, because there once was a time that I could have gave up. And this might be cliche, but I really did see a light at the end of the tunnel. When I was in prison, when I was entrapped in those four walls, it was nothing but time and me. It was a light. When I tell people this, it really, truly was a light. And I remember each day trying to come out the darkness that I was in. Because I was in so much of a funk of being arrested and being in prison all those years. Like I said, I was 14 years old. By the time I went to trial, I was 16 years old. By the time I got released from prison, I was 23 years old. Then after that, I went on to be on parole for 3 more years. Then I had to register as a sex offender under Megan's law, which I was a level 3 sex offender, which is, quite frankly, serial rapist and things of that nature. And I had to endure all of that, all those years, but I kept my sanity somehow. I kept my sanity because I knew that my mother was watching, my ancestors is watching, and we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. So I had to keep it going, not only for myself, but for my kids.
Okay. And I'm just curious to hear from you, like, what are some advice that you will give students on how to handle themselves in situations? Because you said yourself, like, you was around 16. I mean, there's high schoolers in the room right now. So, like, what is some of that advice that you would give them when they find themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time?
Until you're put in that situation, right? Because you're never prepared. You're never prepared. When it happened to me, I know a little bit about the streets, but I was not aware of my rights. And I think that's something we must really inform people about their rights. And that's something I'm working on, to give back to the community and have workshops to let people know about their rights. Right. Because when it was read to us, when I was read my rights, I was out of it. I was dizzy from police brutality. And when they told me you have the right to remain silent, the next thing is anything you say will be held against you in the court of law. That goes over your head when you're dealing with being in prison or being apprehended. So we want to tell people and show people that you have the right to fight for your rights. And we want to let people know that it's okay to not know. but it's okay to spread that knowledge to someone else. Because what I am, I'm a sponge of knowledge, right? And what I believe in is each one teach one. So every time you learn something, share that to another person so they can be in that situation. So for the kids that's here, or high schoolers or college kids, stay focused. It's easy to say, right? But when you're in that situation, just believe that you're the one that's the majority. It's your right to determine what's going to happen. You know, I know for me, when I got apprehended, I was surrounded by seasoned detectives in New York State. It was the best of the best, so it was overwhelming for me. So I know how it is personally to be in that situation, but we do have the upper hand. We are the majority.
Thank you. So just to change gears a little bit, just curious, what is something that you're most proud of?
My kids.
Kind of figured that was going to be the answer.
But other than that, which is obviously, you know, I'm a girl dad, first of all. What I'm most proud of is that I am able to inspire people. Never in my wildest dream I thought I would be in front of you today, because as a kid, I was quite of an introvert. I was the kid that would be back in the back of the class, very intelligent, but very afraid to speak. And to tell you that now that I became a seasoned motivational speaker, a master of a craft of what I do, you know, it's a blessing to be like that. And I don't take that for granted, you know, being in this position, because I have the platform. And to be here, especially in Black History Month, to hold this and be on this same stage for others that's been here before and do things of that nature. So I am proud to be relevant. I'm proud for people to acknowledge me. As you see, when I walked around this room, people say, I'm happy to meet you. I'm happy to meet you. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. I'm happy to be alive. So it's a blessing just to be amongst people, you know, because there once was a time that I felt shadowed and I felt like crawling in a cave, because it was so harsh to be part of the Century Park Five. But now we're the Exonerated Five, and that feels so much better. You know, so I am proud that I was able to touch people. When They See Us came out, for instance, it reached over 190 countries. And I had people from all over the world, in different world, DMing me, to people that's older on Instagram, they DM you, they send you messages. And it was the society we live in now. And it was people from all walks of life, from Africa, Saudi Arabia, Australia, Brazil, England, sending me messages. I had to press translation. But I know it was a good thing because I seen hearts and likes and things like that. So I knew I was doing something profound. And that gave me the motivation to keep going.
Right.
When I see others come to me, I remember vividly that it was an 11-year-old. One day I was in California, and he said, Mr. Richardson, you are an icon. I said, whoa, icon, young man? You know what that means? Icon? But I will take that. As long as it's for the greater good of the community, as long as I'm doing something positive and changing lives, I'll take that, and I'll wear it on my back.
Thank you. And you're changing lives in different settings and in different places. And I understand that you have a scholarship that is named after you at the Syracuse University. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh, that? Oh, yes. There's so many things I'm proud of, everyone. It's a list of things, which is great. Yes. My scholarship is called the Our Time Has Come OTHC Kevin Richardson Scholarship Fund. And it has been endowed, and now it's here to stay. We reached over 100,000, and it's keep growing. So I do have 4 scholars right now that's under the Kevin Richardson Scholarship Fund. More than anything, that's my baby other than my kids. And to see that grow, you know, and see that now coming to fruition, you know, I'm so proud of it, you know, and that it's in existence. And I've met the scholars, and to see what they're doing. The only requirements is you have a 3.0 GPA, and if you don't, we will work with you to bring it up. We will meet you half there. And the only other thing I require is for you to do something for your community, some type of social work, some type of work of giving back, and we'll work with you. And so I'm so proud to have the scholarship, the Kevin Richardson Scholarship Fund. I'm so proud to, I graduated in Syracuse, class of 2020, with an undergraduate degree. And when I got this honorary degree, they asked me, what degree do I want? I said, an undergraduate degree, because that would have been the degree I went to school with. You know, so to be associated with that and associated with Syracuse, because I've been a big fan. I'm an East Coast guy, everybody. So I'm from New York, you know, so Syracuse was something very important for me. Even going, I know we living in like a Big Ten area, but in the 80s, the Big East and things like that, and Syracuse players such as Sherman Douglas, Derek Coleman, and, you know, the list goes on. To be associated with them and call them my brothers and sisters is very important to me.
And while we're on the topic of like the fruits of your labor, you also have started a foundation. So what is the purpose of it? Can you tell us a little bit more about it, and like where are you at in the process with that?
So I'm a very humble person, if you didn't know that. But this is the time to celebrate my fruits of a labor, right? Yeah. And to put it to acknowledgement. I started working on the Kevin Richardson Foundation, and it's krichardson@gmail.com, krichardson@gmail.com. And what it is the umbrella of everything that I will be doing, which is my speaking engagements will go under that umbrella, as well as, I guess I could let it out the bag. I'm working on a book, and it's going to be under the umbrella of the Kevin Richardson Foundation. And right now I have a marketing team that we're working on a podcast. It's coming, so I don't want to give too much, but you will be very delighted because it's now I get to be the one that's interviewing others. Because everywhere I go, I'm interviewed, but I get to bring back some people that's very near and dear to my heart. And I will be interviewing, such as a few name drops, everybody. Ava DuVernay, Oprah Winfrey, Robert De Niro. One person I wish I would have interviewed, but she went on, Cicely Tyson. And that's one person I met right before she passed, and she put us to the side, and she gave me some wisdom. And she told me to just keep fighting the fight, keep moving on, and she's very proud of me. So I must do due diligence and make this thing happen. So that's part of the foundation that I'm doing. And my wife, she will be the vice president. I will be the president and CEO. Really, she's the president, everyone, my wife. But I have the title of president. Y'all know how that goes? Yeah. Wife. So she's here now, but she's taking care of business. So I'm so proud that everything is happening for me. I'm so proud that everything is coming to fruition. And, you know, if I could take something back, I wish I didn't do the prison term. But because of what happened, it made me be the man I am today. And my mother, her name is Grace, and she's still here. But my mother, you know, with the grace of God, I'm able to do this and I'm able to carry on and carry the torch and be my ancestors' wildest dreams and be so proud. I know they're proud, the people that's looking down on me, and I'm looking up to them because I'm carrying the torch. So I really appreciate it.
And before I open up the mic to give whoever have questions for you, nice. What do you want people to take away from your story? Like, what advice would you give people?
One thing I would say is, what happened to me really happened. And if we could do something as a community, everywhere, let's do better. Let's not prejudge people, because that's what happened to me. They judged me. They didn't, you know, they judged my character, but they didn't know it. They didn't know that I was, practicing music. They didn't know I was into sports. Right. It's an old saying, never judge a book by its cover. But what we must do deeper is actually open up the book and read the chapters. And that's what you will see inside of a person, what they're about. Let's not be so close to judge someone. Like I said, each one teach one. Let's try to uplift everybody. Let's try to do these things. And we live in a society that so many things are happening. We live in a world that I wish it was better, but it's not. I wish we could do things to help others, but right now we're working on that. So I hope I could give some inspiration to others. And if I inspired one person a day, I did my job. So if I inspired the whole room, I really did my job. So I'm honored, everyone. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be the voice for the voiceless. Because there's so many people that's in prison that doesn't have that. They don't have a voice. They don't have someone to come to war with them and speak up for them, but I am. There's so many people that's in communities that don't have the platform that I do, but I got them. So we must just, uplift each other. And one thing, everyone doesn't have to be an activist to be active. Because I do what I do, that doesn't mean that might not be your strong suit. Find what you do and do it at your best ability. And if we could do that all collectively, because it takes a village, then I think finally we'd be moving closer to our destination. But it takes work. So we have to get out and go get it. We have to work.
Thank you so much. I just want to open it up to the crowd so they can ask questions.
So, loud. At this time, we have time for just a few questions. So if anybody has a question, please hold your hand up high, and I'll come running with the microphone. And I know we got students trying to leave, so let me get them before they have to go.
My question is, was it hard facing that, like what you went through?
Was it hard facing what I've been through? Yeah. I would say, my brother, hard is an understatement. It was horrific. And sometimes I still scratch myself to think that I went through that. Because when people often see me, they're like, you don't look like you went through something like that. But I learned how, once again, channel that through the years. It's been a process. Like I said, I was 14, I'm now 49. So if you do the math, that was years of a journey of doing what I do. So it was hard, not just for me, but for my family, because my family also endured this. Everyone that was close to us endured this situation. I'm glad I'm here to speak about it, because if the criminal unjust system had their way, I wouldn't be here today speaking about it. So I probably would have been a distant thought. You probably would have heard about the Century Park Five, about those kids. We found out they was innocent, but they was lynched somewhere. Because if they had their way, I would have been lynched if it was a different time. And we living in a time now that these things could happen. And I remember one paper in Pacific, they mentioned that the 5 of us should go back to Century Park, while the elder statesman, Corey Wise, should be hung for a tree, and the 4 of us be horsewhipped. That was the rhetoric and language they was using in the 80s about how they thought about us, So hard was something that we had to do. I just had to do it. And I'm thankful that I had a strong system of support behind me, my family, my mom, and people that was there for me, because I couldn't do it by myself.
How are you able to, talk about it with all
I don't
of the
see
people?
you.
Oh God.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
How are you able to talk to the other 4 about it? Please don't.
I just want to make sure I heard you. How am I able to talk to the other 4?
Yeah.
About the situation?
Yeah.
That's what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's easy to talk to them now, but before it was hard because we really didn't know each other's story. So when we went to California to actually start the writing for When They See Us, it was almost like a spiritual retreat because we all opened up to each other and said what we've been through because we assumed we really knew what we all went through. So now it rolls off each other's tongue and we speak about it because only us 5 really know how it was during that time. Our families know to a certain extent, but we was the 5 that actually went into prison. So it's easy to talk now. My brother Antron McCray, he's one that really won't talk about the situation. And I understand what he feels like. He just wants to live his life and not be bothered. But I am my brother's keeper, right? So I'm going to speak about him. Because when I'm up here now, I'm Kevin Richardson, but I'm representing the five of us regardless, because we are one. So we do speak about it often, and it's good to speak about it because we're still going through it. It's still therapeutic for us. It's still therapy for us. And I strongly suggest anyone that's here, if you need someone to talk to, please do so. It's good to get these emotions out because I kept these emotions in all these years. And it's an example I say, imagine if you had a can of soda since the 80s and it's in your room and you just shake it every day, shake it, and you decide to open it one day and just bursts out everywhere. That's my emotions coming out now. If I'd have kept that in, it would have been not good for my system. So it's good to let it out and get those words out and seek help if you need to. It's really good to get those energies out because if you keep it in, it would chew you up alive.
BGSU students, the Counseling Center has multiple services for you if you need someone to talk to. So
Yes.
Shameless plug for our BGSU Counseling Center, who are absolutely fabulous at what they do.
Yeah, so playing off of somebody to talk to, when did you meet your wife and how does she help in like your healing process?
When I met my wife?
Yes.
Okay, she'll love this one. So my wife, some of it is, okay, I'll speak about it. I've known my wife now for 20 years. We have a 15-year-old and a 6-year-old. We started off working together. We met at a geriatric center. I used to work in a nursing home, basically. That's how we met. I was a supervisor in like maintenance department, and my wife, she worked in she worked with this in the medical field, working with patients and things of that nature. And that's how we met, becoming friends and flirting and mainly me flirting. And we often chuckle now that here we are married with children, you know. But she is my biggest supporter. Like I said, she's my boss and my kids as well. I have 3 girls in my household. Girls rule the world. But on a serious note, my wife has been the one that has been my corner, my ear to lean on, my advisor. She's my best friend. So even to this day, she came along on the trip with me this time. She's in the hotel room doing some business calls for me right now. But because of her and everyone else, she keeps me grounded. You know, when I get home, I'm with her. She just makes me want to relax and relax with my family. So my wife is my biggest supporter.
Hello, my name is Jaden. So my question to you is, despite there being factual evidence to prove your innocence, are there still people who believe that you're guilty? And if so, how do you deal with that?
Absolutely. I'm sure there are people that somehow think that. Mind-boggling, but yeah. How I deal with it, I don't give them the time of the day. Because we're winning right now. And the proof is in the pudding, you know. People sometimes will have trouble accepting the truth, like the system, the justice system, like the DAs that was involved, like the New York NYPD at the time that was involved. When people get sometimes stuck on a lie, they actually believe their own lies. And that's what happened with them. They became so invested in a lie that they forgot the truth. And I often tell them, I don't know how they can sleep at night. I sleep well because I know what I'm doing. So I know people that's turning around in their sleep and knowing that they dropped a ball. They dropped a colossal ball in New York State when they, got the wrong people indicted. Because of that, the real assailant went on to sexually assault more women. And it was not until the real assailant met Corey Wise in prison, he told Corey Wise, I'm here for something you did. And even then, the investigators tried to sweep it under the rug. But God didn't allow that. The truth came out, so the people that still believe that, God bless you.
Hi. Okay. Oh, sorry. Hi. First, I want to start by saying what an honor it is to have you here to speak with everybody and tell everybody everything that you've been through. It's very important to talk about things that are especially happening in our community every day, and this is really important. So I want to thank you for that. My question for you is, have you avoided Central Park since, what's been going on, and have you went there and tried to kind of deal with that emotionally and process that physically, emotionally, mentally? Is that something that you want to do, or have you done that already?
Great question. I haven't been to Central Park until as of last year. Mind you, I grew up across the street from Central Park, towards the tail end of Central Park, which is northern Central Park, which quite frankly is the urban part, where people of color live. So up until last year, I went into the park because as of December 19th, 23, the entrance of Central Park on 110th Street, where I'm from, they named it after us. It's called the Gate of the Exonerated. So we have a plaque there in Central Park on 110th Street, and it's an art gallery inside. So they honored us for the gate because of what we've been through and what we adored. So when it was the making of that, they asked us to name it the Exonerated Five, and we said no. We want to name it the Gate of the Exonerated because it's about everyone that's been through that situation. So now I go to the park very happily because it has our names planted there. And it was the first time in history that someone that's still living is honored in that way. The last person that was honored was like 1891, I believe. So to be actually alive and to be there and to see everything happening right in front of me it's just, I can't even imagine that this is happening, but I'm very thankful. So I did go into the park December 19th, and I will be going now, and I'll be taking my kids there when it gets a little warmer because it's cold in New York right now. Yeah.